Are you a movie buff? Do you love dissecting and analyzing your favorite films? Look no further than the Projection Booth podcast. Join host Mike White and a bevy of guest experts as they explore the history, themes, and legacy of cult classics, obscure gems, and mainstream hits. Join us every week for a unique and engaging look at your favorite movies. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and tune in to the Projection Booth podcast, available on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Chronicles from the Crypt.
Hello, kiddies. It's me, Casualty Chris, and I'm joined as always by my good friend. What's his name?
Well, it's Father Malone. Do you want me to do the impression? I'll try. I kind of have a much deeper voice than you, but I'll do it. Ready? Hello, kitty. Oh, it's terrible. I'm not gonna do it. Okay, go ahead.
Well, you tried, and you know what? You gave it the old college try.
Hello, kitties. This is the Crypt Keeper.
Don't quit your day job.
I'm not, man.
Neither one of us are going to be replacing John Kassir anytime soon.
God bless you, John Kassir. Thank you for.
And John Kassir is still very much alive. John Kassir is still very much alive. Apparently, there was a rumor going around recently that he died.
Why?
I don't know. Odd person to make rumors about. John Kassir.
The Crypt Keeper, it lives. Don't start that shit.
So we are the hosts of Chronicles from the Crypt, a twice-a-month look at the horror anthology series that is Tales from the Crypt, that aired on HBO from 1989 to 1996.
And now, on each of our podcasts, we do 2 episodes of Tales from the Crypt, and along the way, in between seasons, we do tangentially related Tales ephemera. We do bonus episodes. I encourage you to check all of them out. But right now, oh my God, I think we're now hip deep, right? Here we go.
We are hip deep.
Oh my God, we're so far into Season 6, the only true last American version of Tales from the Crypt.
On this episode, we're talking about episodes 7 and 8 of Season 6, The Pit and the Assassin.
Deck the halls with parts of Charlie, fa la 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 la. Make the Yuletide gross and gnarly, fa la 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 ha ha. Oh, hello, creeps. It's me, your favorite holiday spirit, doing a little Cryptmas decorating. Boy, do I love this time of year. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your... Hey, Jack! Get away from me! I guess he's off my Christmas chopping list. Which brings to mind tonight's terror tale. It's about 2 martial artists who do some chopping of their own in a tasteless fright to the finish I call The Pit.
So The Pit is directed by John Harrison, written by John Harrison, and it stars Mark Dacascos and Wayne Newton, of all people. Because sure, why not? Mark Dacascos plays one of the 2 martial art fighters in this episode who are fighting to the death.
Are they, though? Are they fighting to the death?
I don't I don't know what this episode is trying to be. I don't know what this episode is supposed to be. I don't know whose idea this episode was, but you missed the mark about a country mile.
Country indeed. Now, okay. Now, this particular episode is not based on the Tales from the Crypt comic book. This is based on Vault of Horror number 40, and was originally written by a fellow named Carl Weiser and was drawn by another fellow named Bernie Krigstein, who was new to me as far as the EC Comics canon. The comic book is very similar. Ultimately, we're dealing with a combatant situation where we understand that the women are the true combatants and have been manipulating everything. In the comic, we have, oh my God, it's so psychotic you could never do it. Even at the time, they knew not to do it. We had one set of lovers where a man and a woman are running a cockfighting organization. On the other hand, we have two that are running a dogfighting organization. It's so insane. The women hate each other and are constantly trying to one up each other. At the very end, the two gentlemen that they're involved with realize that really it's going to be more interesting to everyone as far as betting goes if we put these two females against one another. And that's effectively what we get here in the episode. The episode obviously features a couple of MMA fighters and their wives who are also MMA fighters, but who have realized that the venue is sexist enough that nobody's going to pay to watch women fight. They just want men to fight. So they work behind the scenes, manipulating their men into fighting. There's also a weird subplot about them trying to get their fella a role in some film that's coming out. And we have Wayne Newton involved for some reason. This is one of the worst, which I honestly, I'm a little dismayed by, because John Harrison, who wrote and directed the episode, is a favorite of mine. One of George Romero's compatriots. He was a film composer. He wrote the music for Creepshow, one of my favorite scores of all time. He became a director on his own, mostly originally with Tales from the Dark Side, the Laurel-produced television series. He did a bunch of episodes there. He ended up directing the Tales from the Dark Side movie on his own. He did the remake of Dune, the Dune miniseries, and the Dune miniseries sequel, Children of Dune. It's difficult because I really love John Harrison as a filmmaker. He's a guy who has a lot to say visually, but what we get here, holy fuck, not a good Tales from the Crypt episode at all.
Not even, it's one of these episodes where I don't get what they were going for. Do you know what I mean?
Well, in what regard? I mean,
in all the regards. Like, who thought this was a Tales from the Crypt worthy script? Who thought this was a Tales from the Crypt worthy idea? Who thought the people in this episode were good enough to place the entire episode on their shoulders? The only one in this episode who's doing I would think, a halfway decent job is Wayne Newton.
Wayne Newton is doing an incredible job.
He's the best part of this episode.
He really is. Isn't that shocking?
It just goes to show... No, it's not shocking, because I think Wayne Newton is a charismatic human being. I actually don't mind Wayne Newton's music, and frankly, you're going to love this, but I'm one of the few people that probably doesn't mind Vegas Vacation.
No, he's good in it.
Yeah, he's great in it. He's a creep. He's perfect in his role in that film. He's perfectly cast here, and that is about as far as I'm willing to go on praise for this episode, because it is a hokey bullshit idea that is made even more bullshit by the twist. And then the episode just kind of ends on top of everything else. It ends without a resolution.
Yeah, we don't really get to see who triumphs, do we? And I guess the idea behind it is that these two gladiator-type characters are being forced into their position based on a feud that has nothing to do with them between two women. I don't know, in this day and age, it seems even more a bit ridiculous, but not invalid as an idea. The idea that these two women are really at odds with one another and are using everything at their disposal, including the men in their lives, to affect that. I don't think that's necessarily invalid, but certainly everything we're getting here is really boring. What's funny is, we just talked about, in our last podcast, we talked about an episode called The Bribe, where they indulged in theatricality. This one does the same thing, where we have some scenes where we have a wall between two characters and one character in the foreground talking, and then the wall behind them disappears, and then we're made privy to another conversation going on in the same domicile with another character. John Harrison, to me, does that pretty much better than anybody. If you go back and watch Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, there's a segment called The Cat from Hell, which is just absolutely peppered with that kind of theatrical lighting and presentation. It excites me when I see it, and it did again here. Ultimately, the story is so rote and muddle-headed that I was not able to get on board.
Well, and again, I mean, like I mentioned before, it also really doesn't help that, no one in this episode other than Wayne Newton is doing a very good job of anything.
Well, I gotta say, as far as the guys go, Mark Dacascos and Stoney Jackson are playing it pretty well, honestly. You're dealing with a couple of these sort of MMA fighters who are not all that interested in killing whoever their opponent is. They're just sort of caught up in what's going on. Wayne Newton, to a different degree, is also that. I'm sure the character that we got is more based on Don King than anything sort of the fight promoter character. As try as he might, he can't elevate it. And certainly we're not given anything to go on as far as the two leads, Stoney Jackson and Mark Dacascos. We're not giving anything beyond their physicality to latch onto as far as characterization goes. It might have been nice to just get one moment for each of them where we understand who they actually are and what they're actually involved in. Instead, we get that they're just being manipulated by these women, and then they turn the tables on them. And that's fine, I guess, but it doesn't really give us anything instructive as to who they are as humans, and that's a drag.
No. Well, it focuses on the female characters so much that the male characters get sidelined. And obviously neither one of us have any issue with a female character being the lead in the episode, but the problem is when the female leads don't do anything. When they're essentially both the same character. They're identical characters.
Yeah, they don't really give us any insight into who they are either.
Other than, they're kind of bitchy, and they're kind of controlling, and they're kind of catty with one another. But, that's it.
Yeah, it's a really facile way to approach femininity in any way. They're
I'm not expecting some grand, exploration of femininity and kind of the fighting world, but they don't even attempt anything interesting.
No, we're given a little bit that they're rivals from before and have been sidelined themselves. So they know that whatever beef they have amongst themselves is not being valued, which is something that absolutely could have been explored. But it's so wrapped up in everything else because they're just looking to get us to the twist where they're going to put these two women on display, and that's going to be the most popular and or exciting match that anyone could have hoped for, which is not an invalid statement at all. It's actually an interesting one. It's just that we don't get to know them. We don't get to know their husbands. We really don't get to know anyone at all. It's all just constant forward momentum as far as the plot goes. And the plot is slight to begin with, so we don't end up really with anything at all.
And again, it also just kind of, ends.
Yeah, man, I wanted one of them to beat the fuck out of the other one.
Well, I wanted something, and what we get is essentially nothing. This, in my opinion, is one of these episodes of the show that is literally nothing. It is nothing. It is a complete non-issue of an episode. I don't care. I've seen this episode 3 times now, and each time I watch it, I walk away from the episode with the same response. Okay, what's next? Why did I waste 27 minutes of my time?
Yeah, I get that. I do think on a technical level, this is a bit of cut above some of the earlier ones. There's an entire sequence where we're leading up to the fight, where we keep cross-cutting between the two couples as they're working out what they want from the fight, that I thought was very cinematic and very skillful. That excited me. Some of the visuals are very interesting, and yet you hang any sort of visual flair on top of a story that doesn't matter, and then those visuals don't matter either. I think this is the only one John Harrison did for Tales from the Crypt. I think they probably would have benefited from getting him in earlier because this is kind of his forte, doing low-budgeted anthology-type stories. You know, most of the time when we talk about a Tales from the Crypt episode that fails, we rail a bit about how their actors are wasted because they're given nothing to do. In this case, John Harrison himself is given nothing to do, even though he wrote the script. It feels like a loss on a deeper level than some episodes that I just don't even give a shit about, because I know everyone involved was talented. I don't have a problem technically with it, but we're still given nothing at all.
Right there with you, 100%.
Skip it, motherfuckers.
So speaking of episodes that don't deserve your attention, let's talk about The Assassin.
So then I was over in India, you know, and I whipped up this little monsoon. Man, I must have reaped hundreds that day. Hundreds, just like that.
Really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Of course, I normally prefer to take souls one at a time, but, you know, I had taken some vacation days, and it was the end of the month, and so, you know how it goes. Oh, by the way, did I mention that I was in Europe? There was an Elvis sighting there, so I figured I'd check it out, but it was just a fat guy in a sequin suit. I took him anyway.
Is this guy boring or what? All he ever talks about is himself. I gotta remember that the next time he comes to town and wants to get together.
Sailors and they don't ever get...
Oh, really? That's very interesting.
Yes, I thought so too. But enough about me. I want to tell you why I am here.
I know why you're here. To eat my food and drink my liquor. More champagne?
Why, sure. Thanks. Who are you saving the good stuff for? You know, you and I have been friends for a long time, and much as I enjoy these little visits, it seems to me that this tomb is not quite big enough for the both of us.
What's that supposed to mean?
I want to propose a contest between you and me. Winner take all.
And the loser? You're on, pal.
1, 2. My rock beats your scissors.
Damn.
Give me your hand.
Well, kiddies, looks like your pal the Crypt Keeper's in the fright of his life. A death, which is kind of like the woman in tonight's Tale. It's a nasty little chopping spree I call... The Assassin.
So The Assassin aired December 7th, 1994. It is directed by Martin Van Hasselberg, written by, once again, Scott Nimmerfro.
There you go.
Stars Shelley Hack, Chelsea Field, Jonathan Banks, Corey Feldman. We'll talk about the wraparounds, which feature our good friend, Mr. Bill Sadler. But I want to preface before we talk about this episode with one thing, and I think I speak for both of us. This episode is insanely offensive and in really poor taste.
Is it?
You don't think so?
I don't know. I was less offended by this episode than something like Came the Dawn.
I could see that. But I think that the reveal at the end of this episode is so tone deaf as to what it means to actually be transgender.
Right, but I gotta say, you take an episode like Come the Dawn, where you're dealing with a character who is unable to accept who they are as a transgendered person, and so therefore they act out in a murderous way. Whereas, in this episode, what we're dealing with is somebody who is so committed to being an assassin that they have literally changed their gender. To me, that's absolutely not as offensive because it has nothing to do with that character's motivation to be who they really are. It's about a character who's trying to hide who they are so they can be who they really are. So in that regard, I'm less offended than something like Came the Dawn. Having said all of that,
see, I was under the impression that he changed his gender because he was just hiding.
Right, which has nothing to do with that he always felt he was a woman.
Right.
Whereas
that's okay. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Sure.
So like something that came the dawn, there's a character who is clearly always wanted to be a woman, but can't accept that. And that turns him into a murderous nightmare. Here we've got somebody who is just trying to blend in. And the only way that they can do it now is to become a woman. And even though they've done that, it still comes back to haunt them. So I give a little more leeway to this particular episode. Now, having said all of that, let me just point out, this is not Tales from the Crypt. Originally, it's Shock Suspense Stories. Shock Suspense number 17, written by Carl Weisler and drawn by George Evans. George Evans is a pretty good artist. The previous episode, by the way, we talked about, which was The Pit, drawn by Bernie Krigstein. Bernie Krigstein is fucking terrible. Once we're here, George Evans only surpasses him in every single possible way. Now, here's a weird thing. And we've talked about this a couple of times, where you go back and look at the comic, and it has virtually nothing to do with what we end up getting as a visual media here. In the original comic, it was set to be kind of a period piece that is also forcing you to put yourself in the position of the assassin themselves. In the original comic, it is really just following an assassin as they're trying to kill their mark. They've recognized that any audience for the murder itself is going to be a problem. So they follow them first person from location to location until they think they've found them in a place where nobody is available and it's just one-on-one. And then they assassinate that person, and at the last moment, lights come up everywhere they are, and they realize they're on stage, and they have stumbled onto a play that is about the assassination of William McKinley, and now they've murdered not the lead, but they've murdered somebody on stage in front of about 500 witnesses. That's the twist. What we get in the episode is not that at all.
No, what we get in the episode is an absolute utter mess.
Yeah, there are a lot of problems with this episode.
I mean, so look, you have this assassin who changes his gender to hide from the CIA. And then at the end of the episode, the reveal is that this female character used to be a male character, the one that they're hunting for. And I feel like they take it one step too far. By all of a sudden, the character opens her mouth and it's a male voice.
Yeah, man, I think they actually take it one step too less. Because adding the guy's voice to her voice is clumsy at best. Like, we've already accepted this character as who they are. So it's fine if I continue to hear a female voice coming out of her. They add the male voice in order to convince us that this was, in fact, a male to begin with. But we don't need it. It's super clumsy. It's the problem with the episode for me is that they keep trying to convince us that this is the wife of a man, and she doesn't understand that he is the assassin because that's who they're seeking out. So they don't know that she's actually the person they're looking for. Whenever she reacts to anything going on, she seems very clumsy in her attempt to sort of ameliorate the situation.
Right.
And you got to think, like, if this is the person, if that's the person, we wouldn't have gotten that far. There's a moment where she's underneath the stairs and she's picked up a gun and she looks like she doesn't have any idea what to do with the gun. But if this is an assassin who is well skilled in all firearms, then they're just waiting. And they just keep trying to convince us that this is just a random housewife. And it's not a random housewife. It's an actual fucking assassin who has now taken on a female persona. Putting aside all of the bullshit of where they went wrong, I gotta say, there's a shot in this particular episode that floored me when I saw it. And I still think about, and I think is pretty fucking great, where Chelsea Fields is one of the new assassins who has arrived and is attempting to suss out the husband, which they think is the assassin. After she's already killed the Corey Feldman character, she's at the top of the stairs to the basement, and she's calling down to the person, hoping that he's already murdered her. And when it becomes evident that he has not murdered her, and there's something going on downstairs, she attempts to come down the stairs to find out what's going on. And she ends up tripping and stumbling down the stairs. There's a shot of her tumbling down the stairs from the point of view of the top of the stairs that is fucking amazing. Did I don't know. Did you have that same reaction as she's tumbling down the stairs towards that person? I thought it was like as good as anything I've ever seen in Tales from the Crypt.
I mean, it's again, the problem is it's just coded in everything else, right?
I know. I mean, look, maybe I'm divorcing myself from the rest of everything and appreciating it on a filmmaking level where you've got a couple of stunt performers like doing their thing.
It's a good looking shot.
Oh my God. If it was in a better episode, we would never stop praising that. That shot is fucking amazing.
I mean, it's not as good as the other stair shot in the best episode where a dummy gets thrown at David Warner. That's the best stair shot of this show.
Nothing will top that.
Nothing will top David Warner being pelted with a dummy.
We can all feel ourselves standing off screen and throwing a dummy at David Warner.
And just laughing incessantly.
Yeah, just laughing inside until they called cut and then guffawing out loud. That moment to me, I rewatched it. I actually watched it like 2 or 3 times. I was massively impressed with the stunt performers and the willingness of the filmmakers to go there. I thought, oh my God, even if this episode sucks, we've got that. There are other problems with this episode. I don't think my problem with the episode is your problem with the episode. I don't think I have a problem necessarily with the gender switch portion of it. I think it's clumsy that we end up getting this guy's voice coming out of her mouth just because we need it. That was stupid.
The thing is, it doesn't need it.
No, it really doesn't. Shelley Hack is doing a great job. And if she's going to convince us for most of the episode that she's just a housewife who has no idea what her husband is up to, she is achieving that. But when it comes down to it, there should have been a moment where you're like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Why is she a fucking badass all of a sudden? And that would have been enough of a twist. Unfortunately, they didn't trust us to accept. They ended up having to add in this voiceover of some other guy. And I don't believe if you've accepted who you are now as a woman and have accepted the voice you are, that you can't go back to it as easily as we're given. That's kind of, I get the offensiveness of that.
Well, I mean, it's offensive, but I do think probably more to your point, it's less about it being offensive and more just being like supremely tone deaf and hellaciously clumsy. It's like, you don't need this. We get it.
Yeah, like, I'm on board. Like, so far.
We even watched Corey Feldman attempt to, have sex with this character.
Right, and I have not been offended by that. I'm really on board. Like, I want this character to prevail. So I'm 100% already involved with this character's journey. And the fact that they're going to twist it on me and tell me, oh, by the way, this is the actual assassin. These guys are idiots. And we're letting you in on it. Well, that's something. But the fact that they don't trust us as an audience to sort of just come on board without giving us a male voice coming out of Shelley Hack's mouth is kind of problematic. I mean, it's not necessarily as bad as some of the other episodes we've gotten, but, I want to be on her side, and you won't let me do that.
Yeah, the fact that this is the episode we got from the initial comic book is so strange, too, right?
Very weird. What an odd adaptation.
I mean, it's not even an adaptation, right?
No, it's not. It's, I'm going to take a title and then run with it. And that, to me, is always a problem because it disrespects the original source material and what they were trying to achieve initially. It's just, I got a title and I'm going to do my thing. Not only that, I don't know. It's just really dumb in that, like, in the end, they're not satisfied with their own twist.
No, they want it to be more. They could have gone even as far as to show Shelley Hack, like, with a bulge. I mean, they're one step away from that. Like, a full Ace Ventura style twist.
Not even just sort of divorcing ourselves from the sort of gender reclassification that was going on, but the character herself has been, during this entire time, trying to set up a dinner party that's going to occur later that night. And then when she realizes that she's had to deal with this bullshit for so long, she thinks, now I have to include these people somehow. So she actually says to one of the corpses, okay, well, now you're going to be involved. I'm going to use you in this way. So what we end up getting is this bizarro moment where she's now feeding her dinner guests the corpses of the people she's just murdered. Like, there's a moment where she goes back into the kitchen and she picks up this platter she takes out of the oven, and there's a foot. It's clearly a foot. And she's like, oh, well, this won't do. And she throws that into the garbage disposal. disposal. And I'm just like, first of all, you're a cannibal, and there's no way we could have predicted that. Secondly, why did you cook the foot to begin with? Very unusual.
But you know what's not unusual? Do you want to know what's not unusual? Bill Sadler, in this episode, playing his character of Death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
That's not unusual? That, to me, is the most unusual part of this episode.
It's not unusual because Bill Sadler's involvement in Tales from the Crypt has been so pervasive.
Absolutely. But it feels very unusual in that we get Bill Sadler's character from a whole other franchise owned by a whole other corporate entity suddenly shows up and is that. Like, look, I'm not saying it's unwelcome. I think it's the most welcome part of the episode that suddenly we're dealing with death.
It is the best part of the episode.
Yeah, no question. No question at all. It just feels even more out of place than the episode that we're given. It's super unusual. And you know what? I'm saying that as a person who loves Bill Sadler and loves him as Death. That character, to me, is going to stand the test of time. So I'm not that shocked that they folded him in here. I'm just curious as to how that works out legitimately. Like, I guess they could just say we hired Bill Sadler to play Death, and now here he is in our episode, and you have no legal ground to stand on. But this is clearly Death from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah, there's no question. He's doing the voice. He's got the makeup. Look, we love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I love Bill Sadler. He's a super nice guy. We got to, I got to interview him long ago. I got a chance to meet him at Comic-Con a couple years back. He's the nicest fucking guy in the world. And I am so glad that he's involved with Tales from the Crypt in a substantive way. But just give the guy his own show.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. They did.
Yeah, they
and
did.
It didn't work.
Didn't work.
Because of them, not because of him.
I had a very similar experience to you in that I had an 8x10 of Bill Sadler from the movie Trespass, and on it I wrote in a word bubble and then pasted it onto the photo a quote from a Tales from the Crypt episode, the very first episode of the series, The Man Who Was Death, which he said, "As for getting into their panties, all you need to remember is treat whores like queens and queens like whores, and you'll do just fine." So I had that in my projection booth in a movie theater in Santa Monica for not decades, but for a decent amount of time. And one time Bill Sadler came to my theater and I said, "Would you come upstairs for a moment? I want you to sign something." And I got him up there and he looked at the 8x10, saw the quote, and just lost his mind about how excited he was that somebody was paying attention to him as an actor. So, Bill Sadler to me is the tops, and I'm more than excited that he's in this episode. I love the Death character. I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's going to be featured in the upcoming Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I mean, I'm not sure about you, but I'm not sure I would even go see it if he wasn't in it.
Oh, I would.
I would, but I would be disappointed.
I think I would be disappointed that they didn't bother to include him. Nevertheless, I think those guys, Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson, are so smart that they're going to include him because they know how powerful a character he is. And I think those guys are so smart on a whole other level. I guess we're just talking about Bill and Ted now. But
well, I don't want to talk about this episode. There ain't nothing left to say about this goddamn episode. It is, as we like to say, big doo-doo. It is big doo-doo, big time.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's okay. Whatever praise I'm heaping on it for whatever technical things they were able to accomplish, it's ultimately not all that interesting. We're now, 6 episodes into fucking season 6? Or 8 at this point?
8.
Oh my god. We still don't have a monster. We still don't have a supernatural element. I cannot fucking believe here we are. It's so crazy because that we've had some spin-offs of Tales from the Crypt. They made Two-Fisted Tales. They made Perversions of Science. They clearly understood that there's weight and heft to be gained from the EC Comics tradition, but they're not willing to embrace what makes us watch Tales from the Crypt or read Tales from the Crypt or Vault of Horror or any of the other horror titles, which is that we need a supernatural element involved. They're more content than ever to just give us a human drama with a bullshit ending.
Phone it in. Phone it in. It's just phoned in. It's just phoned in. And here's the sad thing. Here's the real sad thing. So if Tales from the Crypt had ended at season 5, I don't think I would have been upset. because I haven't seen anything in season 6 so far that has justified the existence of a 6th season of the show. And I really worry when we continue down this journey and we continue to get farther and farther into season 6 and then ultimately into season 7, if we're going to find even half of a season's worth of episodes that justify the existence of either of these seasons.
No, man.
Because there were still good episodes in season 5. The Roger Daltrey, Steve Buscemi episode.
Yeah.
The Tim Curry episode. Great episodes. Great. Legitimately top 10 of the series episodes. And then this.
Yeah, man. There felt like there was still a desire to indulge in the amorphous kind of supernatural elements that set Tales from the Crypt as a comic book apart from everything else that was going on at the time. I've talked about how moral I think EC Comics are. I still hold by that. There was always kind of an element of the unknown. And so far in season 6, we haven't gotten any of the element of the unknown. Maybe a little bit with only skin deep, tangentially. When I look to a horror film, not necessarily horror in general, but when I look to a speculative fiction sort of situation, I'm looking for something that I cannot get in regular life. And so far, 8 fucking episodes into a 15-episode season, all they're interested in is giving us human drama with a bit of irony at the end. And I don't care. Go make Alfred Hitchcock Presents. That's what is that is the bread and butter of that particular series. Even something like Amazing Stories would traffic in that. And God bless. There's a lot to be mined from that. But when I say Tales from the Crypt, there's a fucking crypt involved. Let's get the horror.
There's an undead creature as the host of this show. Can we point that out once again? The show is hosted by an undead creature, and yet don't bother us with trying to do anything supernatural.
Oh, God, why would they? I mean, not necessary.
Why would we waste our time with something like that?
As long as we get a twist at the end. Yeehaw. Well, no, not yeehaw. You calm the fuck down. Like, we're not looking for irony. You
gotta say it right. It's yeehaw. Yeehaw. Yeehaw! Yeah, this show at this point right now, sitting where we're sitting, episode 8 of season 6. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to give up on this show.
Are you losing faith?
I am, Lord. Help me.
Me too. Whatever the next episode is, if it does not have a fucking monster in it, I'm going to be really mad.
Well, and wouldn't it be a damn shame, too, if it doesn't have a monster in it? But at the same time, we're already halfway through the season.
It's entirely too much. I don't know, man. You look back at every adaptation of Tales from the Crypt so far as the original movie, and then they made a sequel called Vault of Horror. They were always more interested in diving wholesale into the supernatural elements because that's what it is. This isn't shock suspense stories or shock crime stories, the television series. This is Tales from the Crypt. Give me a fucking monster or a fucking corpse coming back to life. And if you're not going to do that, well, guess what? I'm tuning out. And clearly I had already tuned out at this point because most of these episodes I'm seeing for the first time. Good Lord.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah, man. It's what we should be because we're expecting a certain level from this series. And they're not interested in giving it to us. They're interested in getting themselves off on a purely ironic level. You can build on irony, but you can learn from irony, but you can't build on it. And here's what we're getting.
And as far as I'm concerned, what we got is an episode that, again, it's not the worst episode of the show, but that's not saying much.
Everything is comparison. And in this case, I can compare it to a dozen real-world human drama stories that hit me where I live. And this one does not. So if you're going to go ahead and eschew the supernatural elements that we're waiting for, then you better fucking twist my goddamn mind.
Which we're expecting.
Absolutely. And why shouldn't we? Because that's what this series is supposed to be.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Not tales from somewhere that's not a crypt, but crypt adjacent.
Not tales of the unimaginable, tales from the totally ironic. Tales from the Crypt. I need to see a corpse shambling, or I'm not going to be satisfied.
Exactly. Yeah, both of these episodes skip for me. This one, more so than the other one.
I'm going to say skip as well. I don't think I had a gender-related, transphobic kind of reaction to this one. I thought it was coming from a good place. I just think ultimately what we're given is not as interesting as some of our other non-supernatural episodes. I mean, clearly, we're basing everything on the first episode of the series of all time, The Man Who Was Death, which manages to give us nothing supernatural, but gives us such an interesting character that we're willing to go with it and accept it. If you're not willing to go that far, then what the fuck are you doing? And Corey Feldman is terrible in this episode, by the way.
Oh, dear God in heaven. Oh, Corey Feldman.
Oh, Corey. You know, I just watched Lost Boys again last night. He's really good in it.
Corey Feldman is a good actor when he's in good things.
Yeah, when he is committed to something that isn't so sort of totally obvious. Like the fact that he chose in that movie, I'm going to do a parody of Sylvester Stallone, and I'm going to fucking run with it in the middle of this other thing. Like, that's an interesting choice. But given his sort of regular choices as an actor, not all that great.
Well, he just goes for it.
Did you see that video of him knocking out his own tooth while he was on stage?
No, I was making a reference to that music video or musical performance that he did on like Good Morning America. Have you seen that one?
I have. But I'm referring, look up, and I'm encouraging all of you listeners out there to look this up. Corey Feldman losing a tooth on stage where he hits the microphone into his mouth so hard that he loses a tooth. It is gold.
Oh.
Gold!
Oh, dear God. So speaking of gold, on the next episode, we're talking about episode 9 and 10 of season 6, Stared in Horror and In the Groove. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, Father Malone, I do not remember either of these episodes. I know episode 10 has Miguel Ferrer in it.
Well, we're not going to go wrong with Miguel Ferrer.
Except for the episode he was already in,
which was garbage.
Did go wrong.
Yeah, that was really bad. But
so you know,
well,
you can't until you do.
But we love him.
I mean, I like Miguel Ferrer.
He's good,
I like
man.
him as an actor, but
yeah, he's fun.
I mean, his father, Jose Ferrer, is the emperor of the known universe.
That is true, and Cyrano de Bergerac.
That as well. So until then, where can people find you, Father Malone?
Well, if you fold space, you can find me over on the my YouTube channel, Odd5 Films, OUGHTFIVEFILMS. I have a lot of content. I have a review show called You've Never Seen, which means you've never seen the movie the way I'm presenting it to you. Just to be clear, I also have.
God, he has to give an aside. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I'm trying to do that without actually going on the site and saying you're wrong. I know you've seen the movie. Anyway, check that out. I've got a whole bunch of videos that have nothing to do with film in general, although they're closely tied to film, which I hope you will enjoy and get a bit of a laugh out of. You can also hear me on Dreams for Sale, the Twilight Zone 85 podcast, which always excites me to talk about. The first reboot of the Twilight Zone in the mid-'80s, which I thought was more than worthy, in some cases better than the original Twilight Zone. And once a month or so, you can hear me over on the Culture Cast, Chris's podcast, which I'm more than excited to talk about movies.
And as for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at Casualty_Chris. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Chronicles FTC. ChroniclesFromTheCrypt.com is where you can find the podcast on the internet. We're on all podcatchers, iOS and Android. Big thanks as always to John Kassir, and we'll catch you on the next episode.